Quickly, if you had to name one area where the Spurs failed in the playoffs, what would it be? That is, aside from the easy Fox and Mitch Johnson. The answer is size. That may sound moronic with Wemby on the team, but the truth is, as many complained, Wemby was very much underutilizing the paint and driving in. On top of that, when Kornet was on the floor, teams were far more confident to get into the paint and slash past him, as the perception was the paint was much more open whenever Wemby was on the bench. With several more instances like this, it was clear that the Spurs were relying too much on Wemby and also not maximizing his strengths. Wemby would try and help space the floor, but then nobody is in the lane for easy buckets or an offensive rebound. The same can be said on defense. If Wemby misses a switch or mismatch, then there was nobody else to help the glass. That brings us to the draft. An opportunity to fill in a few of those holes. Now, the one problem with the Spurs in this draft is it's hard to make massive moves with only a 20th pick. Luckily for the Spurs, they have one of the greatest scouting departments in the league, and that pick turned into Jayden Quaintance. Then, they traded back into the first round and used pick 26 on Tarris Reed Jr. They used 2 first-round picks on the same idea. More use of size in the front court, and fewer possessions where Wemby has to cover everything. At 6'9", 253 pounds, Jayden already has a similar frame to players like Bam Adebayo or young Al Horford. And on top of that, a 7'5" wingspan, and he's on par with players like Embiid and Anthony Davis in that category, while being already above players like Jokic and KD. He also has a 9'1" standing reach, which also surpasses similar legends. At Arizona State, he averaged 9.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks. He made the Big 12 All-Freshman team, as well as the Big 12 All-Defensive team, and he set Arizona State's freshman record with 63 blocks. All of this is even further backed by the eye test. Even when 9.4 points per game seems low for me to be hyping him up this much, when watching the highlights, the way he plays is almost immediately recognizable as how he can help Wemby and the rest of the team. Rebounds, blocks, finishes, lobs, and just all around being another great athlete to put around the rim. This helps build depth behind Wemby so Wemby can exist more outside the paint like he has in the playoffs, or simply give Wemby more minutes on the bench and still have presence in the paint outside of just Kornet. Wemby already bends the floor towards him because defenses have to account for him being anywhere. The Spurs do not need Quaintance to take touches away from him, but instead be another big body in that space that simply scares teams away from the basket. If Wemby pulls a big away from the rim, then Quaintance can be the body underneath. If Wemby gets double teamed or loaded up on, then Quaintance can be an easy target to dump the ball off to. Everyone was asking the Spurs to trade for Giannis, but why risk trading away so much when we can just use our draft pick and take a swing on a Clint Capela-type role without trading away so much of the core based on these takes? The scouting report drives this home even further. Quaintance is described as strong, well-built, fluid, mobile, light on his feet, quick off the ground, and explosive in short areas. This shows that he won't just be a big that stands in the paint and does nothing, clogging up the floor, but instead can move quick and explode when the rest of the opposing team was focused on others like Wemby, Dylan Harper, Vassell, and so on. If the Spurs want Wemby to continue to be the elite center that has guard skills, such as handling, spacing the floor, switching, creating mismatches, and so on, then the secondary big has to be able to move quickly. Quaintance is able to finish and attack as he needs and move far better than a traditional center. There's also a sneaky offensive part here that I think matters. He is raw, but not completely stiff. The report mentions a quick first step for his size, flashes of ball handling, some ability to change direction, and even passing flashes off the dribble. While not being some incredibly next-level wing like Kawhi, it reinforces the same idea. He is not a statue. He's able to speed up against slower centers to finish on either hand near the rim. These type of things will matter when the Spurs make the playoffs again, as it provides much needed second chance points and more game time decision buckets rather than drawn up plays being required. The defensive side is also a very strong projection. He was a high-level shot blocker, as we mentioned. At Arizona State, he averaged 2.6 blocks per game. Earlier in Overtime Elite, 3.1 blocks per game. At the NBPA Top 100, 2.7 blocks per game. If we look at his steals, that also adds to the argument as well that I've been making in the last few minutes. He isn't just going to be camping the paint to get a block, but instead he's actually actively defending and being disruptive to other teams. However, if he is such a great addition to Wemby, why would other teams let the Spurs take him? Surely they would want him off the board if the impact was this great, rather than allowing him to drop to draftable range. Unfortunately, his health has been the biggest reason to cast doubt. As many have called this, it's a high-risk, high-reward draft pick. He tore his ACL and meniscus dealing with swelling during rehab, and only played 4 games at Kentucky as a result. This puts a massive question mark on how available he'll be as his career progresses. Will he remain healthy or enter injury conversations of other great potential that unfortunately is cast to the bench, such as Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard? There are other clear weaknesses that exist as well. His scouting report makes note of offensive game remains raw and limited outside of the paint. He lacks shooting range, and while there are flashes of touch, his jumper is inconsistent with a slow, unrefined release. It also makes comments on things like low free throw percentage and ability to turn the ball over. Earlier in the Overtime Elite, he averaged 1.3 assists to 3.2 turnovers, which tells you that, again, the flashy plays are there, but the polish may not be. However, the Spurs is possibly the best destination he could have gone to as well. The Spurs have one of the best development and medical camps in the entire league, which helps with his injury and also developing out of bad habits. Not only that, but getting drafted next to Wemby then becomes even more symbiotic and mutual. The team doesn't need Jayden to immediately become the next superstar talent big that spaces the floor and averages 20 points. Wemby is already getting generational talent motifs attached to him, which allows Jayden to complete the first few steps of his career in the NBA first. Get rest and recover. With the Spurs having Wemby already able to space the floor as a center, as well as having incredible three-point shooters such as Dylan Harper and Champagnie, this lacks shooting range weakness becomes far less important. To drive this draft selection even further, the Spurs also traded up to select Tarris Reed Jr., a player with a similar solution to the problem. Reed's wingspan is near the same as Quaintance's, and his standing reach actually measured above Jayden's. By averaging 14.7 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks at UConn, he's an older, more physical version of the same exact role. Reed changes the timeline of these picks as well. Quaintance can be brought along carefully instead of being rushed into every physical backup big minute right away. Reed can take some of those hits early and can handle more of the bruising that being a center requires, such as rebounds, screening, playing through contact, and so on. So Reed can take the physical minutes while allowing Quaintance more time to recover. The drafting of both of these players show that they weren't just taken because they were the best available, but they were actually scouted for their talent. After identifying a weakness in the roster, the Spurs were able to fill in what they needed. For a second, I want you to actually picture the roster. Wemby can cut for a drive and say he misses. Then Reed can jump up and instantly dunk the rebound. Wemby spaces the floor for a 3, and he pulls somebody like Rudy Gobert out to defend him. That leaves Quaintance ready to run into the paint for a lob. Or, more simply, Wemby sits on the bench and either of them are able to defend the paint without allowing the other team a run when they think the rim is more unprotected. That's the difference between the Spurs that lost the finals and what they are chasing now by making these picks. Obviously, it won't be near the level of the amazing 1999 Twin Towers of Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but it is still a front court that now no longer entirely revolves around one player. Drafting both of these picks sent a message to the league that relying on Wemby to slip up or to bully Wemby's skinnier frame is no longer going to be an instantly winning strategy. The Spurs don't need either of these picks to become a star immediately, but instead just fill in the gaps and again make more Wemby-less possessions seem playable. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you happy with these draft picks? And if so, which one are you more excited for? If you made it this far in the video as well, be sure to hype it up if you're on mobile so it gets seen by more people. It really does help me out. With that said, these are the videos that YouTube recommends next, and I'll see you all in the next one.